Lucas St. George, what's going on? Quick question. So before I start sharing this out there and being like, hey, what's up? I'm on YouTube Live. I need to know, A, if you guys can hear me, and B, I'm on some like choppy ass hotspot Wi-Fi before I head back out to Cali tomorrow. So can you guys hear me? And is the video feed at least halfway decent for you guys? What's going on, Seneca, Doogie? What's going on? You can hear me? Okay, good. Video feed was good. We solid. We straight. Sounds good. Video feed. Just need confirmation from one of y'all, and we can start sharing this piece. All right. Apparently, it looks good. Okay. So real quick, what I'm about to do is about to share this out. Be like, hey y'all. Hey y'all. Go my outcastness. Yeah, I know. Light sucks here. The light is real low here. Wish I could fix that a little bit, but no, I know it's a little bit dark. So I'm about to share this out real quick, and then we'll get started. So 1 second, and then let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Give me 1 second. Just sharing this on Facebook and Twitter. Tonight's a lot to talk about, man. A lot. I mean, I guess I'll start obviously with the first possession. We'll talk about the first teams. Obviously, that's what's most important. The first team offense, the first possession, we'll start with that, and then we'll go forward from there. So just 1 second. Blah, 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 blah. Boom, boom. So that's on Facebook now. Boom. And on Twitter. Give me 1 hot minute. Boom. Okay. Boom. All right. We solid. Okay, sweet. Turn that off. We set. Peace. All right. So yeah, my apologies to you guys. I'm in like rural PA before I head back out to Cali tomorrow. So literally the format, podcast format, all that stuff will be back up and running this week. So it will either be on Tuesday or on Wednesday on Score North. So actually, before we get into the first team of the offense and defense, I'm just going to say this one final thing about Kyle Sloter. Enough's enough. At this point, if Kyle Sloter gets screwed again, because last year he was pushed behind, I don't even know if he was the third quarterback or if he was just on the practice squad. I don't even remember. Either way, Trevor Siemian Trevor Siemian was gifted Kyle Sloter's job last year, and it seems like the Vikings are looking for every which way to award the backup QB spot to Sean Mannion. And what do you know? And quite frankly, I'm getting really tired of this, because what do you know? Today, again, he looked fantastic. When he got out there, he led the offense for 2 touchdowns, one of which was a pass and the other was a run to end the game. But the difference between Kyle Sloter and Sean Mannion is that Kyle Sloter didn't need to throw a pick six to then make up for it by throwing a touchdown later. Kyle Sloter is better in every fundamental way as an NFL quarterback than Sean Mannion, or in the case of last year, Trevor Siemian. He's better than all those fools. And yet, it's almost at this point, whenever the Vikings get up on that podium, whether it's Spielman or whether it's Zimmer, we should even put Kubiak in this conversation, because I admire the fact that he's willing to take a stand. Oh, shoot, they're still playing right now. 2 minutes left, whatever. I admire the fact that he's taken a stand to say, my guess is his fingerprints are all over the offensive side of the ball, the roster. In the case of, I know that you guys have played Laquan Treadwell. He's your first-round draft pick back in, I believe, 2016. That's wonderful. We're not playing him because he's not good. if that's the case, you need to use that same energy for the quarterback position. And what do you know? He looks good. But now, quite frankly, I don't even care to even watch Kyle Sloter play anymore because we know he's going to look good and they're going to come up with every reason to push this dude down. It's to the point now where if the Vikings get up on that podium and try to come up with excuses for him, you're basically insulting our intelligence at this point. I don't care this idea that, and for the most part, it's true that, okay, the team, the management, the coaching staff, they know more about the team than we do, the public, and I get that. But there's nothing you can tell me. I don't care if you work with the team or if you're in the general public, there's nothing that you can tell me that can convince me that Sean Mannion is better than Kyle Sloter. There's nothing you can do. You're really insulting our intelligence at this point. So at this point, that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. The last 2 games of the preseason, he's going to ball out like he usually does. He needs to play against the second team. He needs to play against the second team defenses of opposing teams. It's not fair. And quite honestly, it looked like it's Sean Mannion's job. Quite honestly, even though he sucks. I'm sorry. As a man, he's probably cool and all, but as a quarterback, this dude freaking sucks. I'm sorry. I'm done with this. So enough of that. I had to get that off my chest. As far as the offense, so let's start with that. The first possession. I thought there were a lot of good things to take away from the first possession on the offense because up until the last couple of plays before they had to settle for, I believe they had to settle for a punt. I don't remember if they kicked the field goal on the first possession or the second, but actually I think it was the second possession because they got all the way down to the red zone. And I'll talk about that on that second one, but I think they settled for a punt. By the way, Kari Vedvik, he looked really good today. I like his punt placement that he had today. So Matt Wow may have to, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with him. So Kari Vedvik, he looked really nice. But I thought up until the last couple of plays before they gave the ball back to Seattle, I thought the offensive line, for the most part, in that first possession, I thought they were actually pretty stellar for the most part. And then the last couple of plays, that's where things kind of fell apart. And here's something I want us all to be cognizant of. I understand the fact that the last 4 or 5, however many years, it's been longer than that, however many years that our offensive line has been terrible. I get that. With that, as in every single snap, the defensive line is getting pressure on the quarterback, or they're getting in the backfield to go after our running backs immediately after they get the ball handed off to them. I understand that. With that said, we have to understand something. Not every single play, the offensive line is not going to be stout and stellar every single play. Sometimes the defensive line will get penetration. So it's okay. It's not okay in the sense like you want your offensive line to be good every single play, but I don't want us to freak out where they have 3, let's say they have 2 bad snaps out of a 10 snap possession, something like that. Oh, the offensive line's looking shaky. No, I thought the first possession, I thought they were really stellar for the most part up until the last couple of plays. That third down, they brought on a blitz package. Pressure came almost immediately. Garrett Bradbury's sweaty ass probably led to that fumble, the bad snap. But I thought for the most part, I thought they did a really, really good job. So I think there's some really good things to take away from that. Adam Thielen, I mean, he's amazing. I don't think there's really anything else to say about him. Like I said last week, I'm not shocked that he comes down with the ball for the most part. It's just more so how he catches the football. I compared the Diggs and Thielen combination to the old school Cardinals duo of Bolden and Fitzgerald in their prime. And I think in this case, Adam Thielen is Larry Fitzgerald. I think he's prime Larry Fitzgerald, not only because I compare him to him as far as talent wise, but even like Keenan Allen. I think they're all in that same realm, whereas it's not even sexy the way they play. They're just so fundamentally sound. Larry Fitzgerald, Keenan Allen, Tim Duncan of the NBA, just so fundamentally sound, and it's death by 5,000 paper cuts to where his route running is stellar. He comes down with the football. He's not mossing dudes. He's not making these one-handed fallback catches like Odell Beckham Jr. or anything like that. He's just a hell of a technical wide receiver. So he's amazing. I don't think there's really anything else to say about that. Alex Madison, I don't know if he got hurt or I don't know what was going on with that, or if they just decided to play Mike Boone more. Alex Madison, he had a really good game, but like the last preseason game, so did Mike Boone. He had a really good game too. So again, Alex Madison, he's nice, but Mike Boone is nice too. So I'm not going to go down that road again. But I just really thought we would have been just as fine with Mike Boone as the RB2, even though we have Alex Madison. So Amir Abdullah, he didn't play. I don't think he played at all. I don't know what the situation was with that, but Mike Boone should. I never thought that Amir Abdullah would be on the team, but he did make his case in the last game on special teams anyway. But I think in this situation, when you're not available to play or for whatever reason you don't play, all you're doing is giving opportunities for other players to shine. Mike Boone should be on this team, but I wouldn't even be surprised if they cut him. And if he goes somewhere else, I hope he gets the opportunity that he rightfully deserves, including Kyle Sloter. Help. They really bring in Sean Mannion, and it's to the point now. One more thing about Kyle Sloter, I said I wouldn't say it anymore, but if he goes somewhere else, he needs the opportunity to shine wherever he goes. And if the Vikings aren't going to do it, then he needs to go somewhere else because he has a lot of talent. So let's see. Oh, now getting back to the first team offense. On the second possession, I liked how Kirk Cousins and the offense and Kevin Stefanski calling up these plays. They were super, super aggressive. They were super aggressive to, I don't even remember if it was to start the second possession, but it was definitely in the middle of it. Super aggressive on the deep passing plays. So one was the Adam Thielen, the catch for probably at least 30 yards. I don't have the numbers in front of me. And then they went right after that to another deep passing play again to Adam Thielen, and that draw a pass interference flag, which is a spot foul. I like that they were super aggressive with that because you got to remember, yes, I love the fact that we have a balanced offensive attack. I like that we're going to run the ball and we're going to make sure we run the ball to set up the plays and play action and everything like that. But we also need to be cognizant and utilize the receiving weapons that we have on this team. We have two dynamic receivers. So we need to be able to, yes, we'll be not even conservative, but we're going to run the ball and all that stuff, run some clock. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't take deep shots once in a while. So I really, really like that they were aggressive with that. The issue that I have with Kirk Cousins is the end of the second possession. It seemed like I think quit is a strong word, but I thought he settled for that check down pass, if you even want to call it that, to, I believe it was Stephon Diggs on 3rd and goal, well short of the end zone. I thought he really, really settled. It really irked my nerves a little bit. Kind of reminded me of Sam Bradford. You remember the criticisms that he drew? Really it just seemed like he wasn't trying to go after the end zone. So that really got on my nerves. So I think that's it. They didn't play anymore. I think they played 2 possessions on the first team offense. Now let's get to the defense, and I'll get to some of your questions in just a second. But I want to get this out the way before I forget. The first team defense, dude. The secondary outside of Harrison, Hitman Smith, it's looking suspect. It's looking extra, extra suspect right now. Xavier Rhodes, he whiffed on an open field tackle on a screen catch and run. He was Xavier Rhodes looks slow, dog. He looks super slow. I don't know what has happened with this dude, but I don't want to hear any excuses for Xavier Rhodes and especially for Mike Zimmer. You need this dude so bad. And this is where if anything, if nothing else, for everybody that thinks I'm wrong about Mike Zimmer and the criticism, and I give him his praise too, where it's warranted at. The one thing that may come back to bite him in the ass if he were to get canned, if the season isn't going to work out, first of all, Mackenzie Alexander was awful. There was one play, a possession, I think it was the first team defensive possession, where the Seattle's offense ended on a wide open missed drop on the receiver that Mackenzie Alexander was covering. I think it was some sort of crossing pattern. He would have had the first down. He simply just dropped the football. Maybe it was a little bit of an errant throw by Russell Wilson. I can't remember, but Mackenzie Alexander was behind the dude. I don't know if it was DK Metcalf or whoever. He was behind the dude by a solid 4 to 5 steps. Not going to get it done. Then also, third and however the hell long it was on that second defensive possession, completed a 33-yard pass, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was Mackenzie Alexander or Anthony Harris. The secondary looked absolutely lost. And by the way, they're lucky that they didn't give up a touchdown in the end zone because there was a dude wide the F open in the end zone. I don't want to hear any excuses. You thought it was so important to bring back Xavier Rhodes, which I get with Holton Hill and his ass. I don't care if he makes the team or not. I would cut him because he simply cannot be trusted to start his career off this way, already suspended for 8 games. But he has no excuses. Mike Zimmer, you thought it was important to bring back Xavier Rhodes. Anthony Barr, he couldn't get through blocks. I saw that again. Like, everyone wants to. Why does he get to the Pro Bowl? If he gets to the Pro Bowl because he's really good at eating up blocks and open up holes for other dudes to make tackles, that is the most pathetic crap I've ever heard. But he couldn't break off blocks tonight. But mainly the secondary is where I have an issue at, because if that continues in the regular season, we are going to have a long season. But the flip side is to it, maybe it won't be so bad if our offense lives up to the potential that we think it can. This is a pass-happy, offensive-driven league. Not to say that we're going to be pass happy, but this is an offensive driven league. And if our offense lives up to what we think it can live up to, then maybe the defense taking a step back might not be so bad after all. But that secondary was looking mighty, mighty suspect out there. So I think that was it on the defense. Ifedi Odenigbo, what do you know? He had a great game today. And you guys remember when I talked about how the Vikings, they should trade for Antonio Brown, and how I was dead wrong about that. Well, there are a lot of players that I've been right about, and I've been on the Ifedi Odenigbo train ever since last year. I've been singing this dude's praises for a year now. So for those that may be late to the party and say, oh, who's this Odenigbo guy? Like, welcome. I've been telling you guys about this dude for a year. I said it was a mistake when they cut him to not make the 53-man roster last year. And when they got him back, I said, great, you cannot let this dude go. And he had a fantastic game. So let's get to some of your guys' questions real quick. What you guys got? RWF 1984 says, Jayron Kearse showing up tonight. Hell yeah, he did, bro. Jayron Kearse looked good. He looked damn good out there, especially towards the line of scrimmage. Kind of like that switcher offer role. You know how he either plays center field or he walks up to the line of scrimmage. I'm not sure how Jayron Kearse would be consistently as a deep center fielder, but playing as a pseudo linebacker, I like him a lot. He looked damn good tonight, 100%. Let's see who we got. Let's actually scoot up a little bit because some of you guys been rolling in with these questions. Whoo! Roman St. Pierre says, also, by the way, don't come at Bradbury for his sweaty ass. O-lines sweat like crazy. They big. But yeah, I know. I'm joking, man. I'm joking. I know all centers, they have sweaty asses. I already know that. They're big fat guys. They got big ass thighs. They're walking around and all that stuff. I get it. Like, I'm just joking. Like, I think that's a miscommunication thing. I don't know, but Kirk really needs to work on that with Bradbury. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt now. I don't think it's his sweaty ass that led to the fumble. It may have been more than that. It's a joke, man. Come on, lighten up. Come on. You're going into work tomorrow, right? Come on, man. I want to give you guys a little feel good. Just laugh a little bit before you have to go in and, like, oh, I got to go into work tomorrow. Let's see. Oh, Sinek with I don't even think this is a hot take, but Sinek said, Boone is dope. I think he's better than Alex Madison. He might be. I don't know. I think they both had good games. I would say, if anything, Boone's the more dynamic dude. Boone is where he is done, especially when he gets in the open field. He kind of moves like a receiver. The way he can shift directions a little bit. I talked about that with Chad Beebe, how he's able to do that. Boone can do that. He can do the damn thing, whereas Madison, he's a physical runner. But I will give Madison his credit. He was very physical out there, got a lot of good yards. I don't know what his yards per carry was tonight. It seemed to be within that 4.5, 5 yards per carry range. I thought he looked really good, but catching out the backfield, maybe catching short mid-range passes. Mike Boone looked damn good. That's why, if it were me, Mike Boone would have been your RB2, and we wouldn't have even drafted Alexander Madison. Not to say that he's not good, but I thought that we had it all squared away with Mike Boone. Let's see. Who do we have here? Wiggins World says Wiggins World. Wiggins World. Wiggins World says Harris played well, I thought. Yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I love especially that one play where it looked like Anthony Harris. It looked like it was Anthony Harris coverage. That dude got behind him, and it was going to be a wide open catch for this dude. And Harrison Smith, I didn't see. I got to look at the coach's film to see, when they got the sky view to see where exactly Harrison Smith was before that pass breakup. But it seemed like he just zipped out of nowhere and smacked that ball down. He's a hell of a player, and he had a couple of great plays for, I think it was a TFL he had, or it was a no game he had in the running game. His ability, kind of like Rodney Harrison, Brian Dawkins, all the great safeties that you can think of that can walk up to the line of scrimmage or play center field, man. There's nothing bad that you can say about this dude, Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith is the only dude on the first team secondary that you're good with. There's nothing to talk about. Everybody else is looking really shaky. It really is. And quite honestly, just one more tidbit on the secondary. That secondary performance today outside of Harrison Smith, it reminded me of the Rams game last year, and it reminded me of the 2017 NFC Championship game where the defense looked absolutely helpless. At least the defensive line, I thought, was pretty decent. I thought the linebackers were okay. Anthony Barr actually made quite a few plays out there today. It's just getting off of blocks, rushing the passer. That's my issue with him. He actually made a couple of plays. So at least in the case of the Eagles NFC Championship game, the whole defense was trash. But at least the first and second levels were relatively decent. I thought the secondary, they looked utterly helpless out there. And if that continues, there's no more. Quite honestly, there's already no more excuses for Mike Zimmer for me. But you really can't come up with any excuses if this really continues to leak on into the regular season. Let's see. Deonte McFadden says, give Slaughter first-time reps next game. Nah, I wouldn't say that. You got to crawl before you walk, but the thing is they're not letting this dude crawl. He's always playing against the third team. He needs to play against the second unit. This third preseason game, he needs to play against the second unit. Otherwise, you are wasting this man's time. I don't want to see this dude against the third team anymore because we know he's going to ball out, and then they're going to get up there and say, oh, well, he still needs to work on this or that. Sean Mannion threw a pick six, dog. And by the way, more on that pick six. I am going to give the benefit of the doubt more to Chad Beebe than some Sean Mannion because Chad Beebe is the leading wide receiver 3. I have no doubt that this man studies his ass off on the playbook. And if he's already leading for the wide receiver 3 spot, then you know he's doing something. You know that he's a key cog in this system, that he knows what he's doing. Sean Mannion, I'm sorry. I already had questions about this dude. I'm going to trust Chad Beebe that he made the right call or he ran the right route. And Sean Mannion just didn't know what the hell he was doing. I'm sorry. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to Chad Beebe on that play. But Kyle Slaughter makes all the throws out there, so it's whatever. Play him against the second team, not the first team. Maybe in that fourth preseason game when the starters aren't playing anymore traditionally, then yeah, maybe. But even still, I think because they've dragged this on so long, last year he played against nothing but the threes, and this year it's the same thing. At least have him for the next 2 games play against the twos. And then maybe next year, if you keep him, he can play against the ones a little bit, maybe in that fourth preseason game. Let's see who we got. AMG Property says the Gunners on special teams are trash. I was very disappointed, bro. I was really disappointed. Special teams, you can't blame Mike Prefer anymore. He's gone. Curry Vedvik, he looked really nice out there. But overall, I am worried about this special teams unit. I really am. It seems like this has been a consistent fear factor with this team, and I don't know what there is to solve it. I don't know what there is to fix it. I have no idea. There was that one. Oh, good Lord. That gets me to thinking. Thank you for bringing that up, AMG Properties, because now I got flashbacks of that one play where I don't know who it was that was fielding a punt, but the punt coverage was awful. They let whoever was on Seattle, because on the punt coverage, they usually have two dudes locked in on one guy. So that way you can block him on one side. If he gets past you, you got the other guy to block him on the other side. They just completely whiffed together. Dude ran right through both of those dudes and completely had a perfect tackle, lowered the shoulder into, I don't know who it was that fielded that punt, and just knocked him down. He's lucky that he didn't drop or fumble the ball, but the gunners, the punt coverage, I don't know what's going on. It's really a concern. Fire Breather 719 says, I just like to think that the defense is not trying since it's preseason. No, I'm not buying that one bit. I'm not buying that one bit at all. I think they are trying. I just don't think they're playing very well. I think they're playing like asses. I think they're playing lazy. Xavier Rhodes looks just as slow as he did last year. I don't think they're not trying. I just don't think they're not playing well. And if this was, it's not like this is an anomaly or this is an aberration. We've seen the secondary look like that plenty of times before. This is something that's been a consistent issue, especially this isn't a big game, but it is against a really, really good team and one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You need to show up. They're playing a vanilla offense. You're playing a vanilla defense. Make some plays. I'm sorry. No excuses. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Oh, I saw one, but I think I may have. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm glad I almost scrolled through this, but I'm glad I found it again. Sinek Us says that wide receiver Taylor ain't. Screw it. I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm sure they got the YouTube police out there. I don't give a damn. Sinek Us says that wide receiver Taylor ain't shit. What's his purpose on the team? All this hype for what? It's crazy, Sinek. I hope I'm saying your name right, Sinek. I was literally saying the same stuff, bro. He had that one throw, and I think this was on third down where, Kyle Sloter was hitting him up, and it was a deep pass. And, yes, he had good coverage on him, but I have yet to see this dude make plays. And I can't believe, well, actually, I can believe because the height, he's shown that he can make plays, but in relatively low snaps that he's played in his career so far. And he's had the injury issues, but we were talking about, this is going to be between Chad Beebe, Jordan Taylor, and Irv Smith Jr. And quite honestly, no, Jordan Taylor's just not a factor. He's not a factor at all. When he is on the field, it's mostly from what I've seen, or at least from when I see his name called, it's with the third team. So there's nothing to talk about. It's a little disappointing, but we have Chad Beebe. He knows what he's doing, but I agree. Jordan Taylor, it's very disappointing. Let's see. Let's get to some more questions that we have so far. Tyleek Robinson says, Tyleek Robinson says, what about Treadwell in the second half? Man, I don't care about Laquan Treadwell as a football player. As a human being, I'm sure he's great. I'm sure he's wonderful. I don't care. He made a nice catch. Okay, great. He's playing with the third team. I don't care. I'm done with him. There's nothing to talk about. I don't know even if somebody gets hurt, play Brandon Zylstra or Jeff Badette or somebody else. Laquan Treadwell, his time is up. There's nothing to talk about. I don't care that he had a couple of catches against third team defenses. Come on, bust. He might be. This is a question I'm gonna ask you guys, and you guys can answer this. He might be maybe after Christian Ponder. No, because even Christian Ponder, he had that nice game, week 17 against Green Bay. And I think this was the year. Was this the year that Adrian Peterson he almost broke, I think, Eric Dickerson's record before getting it, I guess, cementing a playoff spot? I could be wrong about this, but Christian Ponder at least had a good couple of games. Laquan Treadwell might be the biggest bust in recent history for the Minnesota Vikings. If there's anybody else you can think of, mention some names. I wanted to say, what was that dude's name? Oh, what was that receiver's name that we had? He could run. He just couldn't catch. I'm drawing a blank here out of nowhere. What was that dude's name? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank here. I'll come up with it later. But that guy, he at least caught some passes. The guy that had that drop where Tavares Jackson hit him in Denver for that deep pass, there was no one around him. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on this dude's name. But he was a bust. Laquan Treadwell was a bigger bust than that. He might be the biggest bust in the modern Viking history. Matt Khalil, he went to a Pro Bowl his rookie year, if I'm not mistaken. He went to the Pro Bowl. He had at least a decent couple of games. Quan Treadwell, not so much. And the one time that he finally did have a good game in Green Bay last year, week 2, where he finally caught a touchdown pass, he had 2 drops, one of them which led to an interception. So he's never had a marquee game where you're saying, wow, Laquan Treadwell, he really stood out in this game. That's never happened. So I don't care about Laquan Treadwell as a football player. Let's see. DMN1447 says Anthony Barr let receivers run right past him twice. Well, hopefully it's not wide receivers, but if you're talking about receivers as in people that can catch the ball, like running backs or tight ends, that wouldn't surprise me one bit because, and this is what kills me about these advanced analytic stat geeks. And yes, I have been very vocal about my disdain for people that, in the words of Aqib Talib, that dry hump analytics or dry hump stat sheets to try to make an argument. So the point I'm getting at is one of the things, I don't know who posted this. I think this was last year. And it's like, well, Anthony Barr, he's one of the top 15 linebackers and pass per coverage grade snaps and blah, blah, blah. And, eating stats and calculators for breakfast. Bro, you can come up with any advanced analytics stat that you want to make a point. I think advanced analytics for the most part is garbage. I think the eye test is the best thing. Certainly some stats are great, but the more we get into it, it's just a load of crap. I really think it is. So the point that I'm getting at, DMN 1447, is you're right. I don't know if you're right because I wasn't paying attention on Anthony Barr's pass coverage, but I do remember watching him last year. Like I said, I watched every snap of the Vikings last year. He said, well, he's great at pass coverage per coverage snap. That's because they don't throw the ball at dudes that he's covering. And it's not like they're saying, oh, goodness, Anthony Barr, oh, he's a lockdown linebacker, I'm not going to throw his way. No, it's because they usually have bum-ass dudes running after him. Or maybe they purposely have Anthony Barr covering bum-ass dudes like fullbacks or tight end twos or whatever it is. He's never guarding anybody good. And when he is, in the case of the Rams, they will exploit him. So if he was getting outran in coverage, it wouldn't surprise me because I saw that all last season. But hey, grade per coverage snap. Like, shut the hell up, bro. Not you, but like these stat geeks, they kill me, bro. They absolutely kill me. They write these 40 pages of stat sheets. And it's like, do you even watch the games or do you watch box scores all night? I got a serious problem with those types of dudes. Let's see. Boom. Actually, let's scroll to the bottom. Let's see what you guys have here. Troy Williamson. That's the guy. I thought Troy Williamson was the biggest bust, but no, Laquan Treadwell for sure. Yeah, thanks for that save, guys. Let's see. Eric says Holton has a high ceiling. Well, he had a couple of good plays today, but he also had a couple of bad plays too. But I don't care that he has a high ceiling. Josh Gordon has a high ceiling. If Holton Hill is already having these issues of getting suspended already going into his second year, you can't be trusted. I don't care how great you are. The greatest ability in sports and especially football is availability. I can't count on Holton Hill being available. So who's to say that he comes back, and even if he was to kick ass the remaining 8 games that he plays after he serves the first 8 game suspension of the season, and even if he's great, who's to say he's not going to get suspended for next year? So I don't know what it is. If it's smoking weed, then that's horseradish. That's BS. That's bullshit, dog. Like, no one needs help to stop smoking weed. I'm sorry. I don't care. Nope. Don't need it. If it's anything else, then okay, yeah, that sucks, but it's still on him. You got to get help, whatever. But if it's smoking weed, then that is the dumbest load of crap that I've ever heard. If you're throwing your career away for that, sure. Should it be legalized? Yep, I agree, but it doesn't matter. These are the rules. You know about it, and he's hurting the team by not being available. So yeah, he could have a high ceiling, but I don't care. Boom, boom, boom. Hairfine says Mike Hughes is a bigger bust, freaking getting hurt, some nerve. Oh, come on. I don't agree with that. He's not a bigger bust. He tore his ACL. He tore his ACL. He literally had one injury. Oh, no. He had one injury, and I think Mike Zimmer, he came out not that long ago, maybe a month or so ago, and talked about how actually he suffered some other ligament damage. I don't know if it was in his ankle, but I think it was due to that ACL tear. But come on, he suffered that injury, and he's just recovering from it. I don't think he's a bust. In fact, before he got hurt, he was probably our best cornerback. He was really, really good last year. Probably would have been rookie of the year, definitely defensive rookie of the year for not in the league, but for the Vikings at least, had he not gotten hurt. But I thought Holton Hill, for me, he was my defensive rookie of the year for the Vikings last season. Let's see. Let's do a couple more. Let's do a couple more questions, see what you guys got. So you guys can have at least go into Monday, start the work week on a at least somewhat good note. Born again. If the coaching staff doesn't recognize that Sloter is the clear backup, then I don't think we will ever get this right. Yeah, I don't think I'm just expecting Sean Mannion to get the job. I'm not going to get worked up over it anymore. I just expect it to happen now. Actually, real quick, let's talk about the kicking game real quick, because now we're hearing Dan Bailey, he looks amazing in practice. And then what was it? Was it Friday or Thursday? Matthew Collar on Score North, he talked about how Dan Bailey had an awful practice. And so I think if the kicking game still struggles, this is where Mike Zimmer does it. Mike Zimmer actually gets a pass on this. This has nothing to do with Mike Zimmer. If the kicking game still struggles going into next season, and I get we have Corey Vedvik, he's a punter slash kicker, and oh my God, maybe he can do both. I wouldn't do that. Either way, if it struggles next year, it's going to be on Rick Spielman. You should have kept Kai Forbath. You did not have to experiment. And if you didn't experiment, you would have won that game in Green Bay last year and you would have made the playoffs. So Rick Spielman, you experimenting with the kicker position, which by the way, you already had it locked up. You had a good kicker. You could just re-sign or not re-sign because he was still on still under contract. Keep Kai Forbath and focus on everything else. You would have been fine and you would have made the playoffs. And at least you would have said, okay, the Vikings, they would have made the playoffs, and it was disappointing. And because they weren't going to beat any teams. They went to the playoffs. They probably would have went in Soldier Field against the Bears. Doesn't matter. They weren't going to beat anybody in the playoffs. But at least you would have said, okay, they've at least made the playoffs in back-to-back years. They just need to make a playoff run next year, as in 2019. But now we're looking at your jobs are on the line. So if this continues into next year, this is all on Rick Spielman. You didn't need to do it. I just don't understand why you experiment with that type of stuff. All the good players, you try to push them down like Sloter and Kai Forbath, but all the bum-ass players, you're like, let's get them out there. Shaq Edwards says Forbath was missing too. He wasn't the perfect kicker, but he made the kicks when he needed to. Okay. There was never one game, and I could be wrong about this. Honest to God, I don't remember one game in 2017 where I sat there and said, man, Kai Forbath really cost us that game. Not one time. I don't remember ever saying that one time. Daniel Carlson did last year. That's why he got cut. Blair Walsh several times. Dan Bailey, Dan Bailey struggled last year. I don't think there was a time where I said, man, Dan Bailey cost us a game, but there were a lot of ugly games that Dan Bailey had. But Kai Forbath was mentally tough. And when you have a head coach like Mike Zimmer that's just going to keep it 100 and call you out if you suck or not, you need dudes that are going to be tough and mentally able to, show up to the next kick as if nothing happened. And Kai Forbath has been the mentally strongest kicker that we've had out of the last three. So Daniel Carlson, Dan Bailey, and Blair Walsh. Out of those, or obviously you add Kai Forbath. So out of the last four, Kai Forbath was the strongest dude mentally. He could take, just like Case Keenum was super strong. He'd go out there and say, I don't know, Case Keenum, he's getting lucky out there. He's got a horseshoe and all that other stuff. Case Keenum didn't care. Kai Forbath didn't care. Daniel Carlson, you could tell it killed him. He was a rookie. Blair Walsh, that dude mentally weak as a football player, super weak mentally. Dan Bailey, he might be the same as well. Kai Forbath was a tough SOB, man. So don't disrespect that man. I got a lot of respect for Kai Forbath. Let's see. Let's do one or two more. Let's do one or two more. Vincent Enhada, I hope I'm saying your name right, says, thank you for the live chat. Will this continue during the season? And then above that, Born Again says, do this more often, Realistic Randy. So yeah, no problem, guys. First of all, thank you guys. I don't say this enough. Thank you guys that have actually been watching, listening, all that fun stuff. I mean, I like doing this as a hobby. You know, thankfully I got picked up by Score North. So, you know, I'm very blessed and fortunate to do this. So thank you to you guys. And for you guys that are sitting on right now watching, huge props to you guys. But yeah, I will do this a lot more. I've been doing it the last 2 weeks because I've been away, but literally I'm getting on a plane tomorrow and flying back west out to Cali, and podcast is picking back up for this upcoming week. So I will be doing it a lot more, maybe once every couple of weeks, because I definitely enjoy doing this type of stuff. I wish I could do a live call-in, like during the podcast, where I could do live call-in and I could talk to you guys. I don't have a live producer, so I need a live producer in order to do that, because otherwise I could say, hey, here's this number, call me up, and then I pick it up and a jackass could be talking a bunch of smack and saying a bunch of stupid stuff. I need a live producer to vet through callers. So yeah, I'll be doing this a lot more often. See, anything else? Yeah, I think actually we'll do one more. War Knight 1 says the play action doing Kirk justice. He plays better when he doesn't have to think so hard. 100%. Said that last week. 100%. Kirk Cousins is best in play action. They did that, I think, a couple of times today in that first possession, and they actually did a bootleg. I think they did a bootleg last week too, but they did a bootleg, and I think it was in the first possession of this game, and he looked really good. And either he's going to run, hopefully use his legs a little bit more when there's just wide open space out there, or use his legs to find those receivers that, you know, make moves and get open when the coverage is breaking down. So 100%. So I think that'll be it. But one last thing that I'll say is that, and I'll bring this up on the podcast and all that stuff too. I was going to, you know, make the announcement on this. Starting when the regular season starts, so whatever that Sunday is when they play the Atlanta Falcons, I think that's the first game. Starting that Sunday, the Monday after, we're going to switch the schedule up as far as for this channel. So for Score North, it's going to be the same. It's usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, or it might be Wednesdays and Fridays, or Wednesdays and Fridays, depending on how the week goes. But for this personal channel, what I've usually been doing is Saturday podcast during the off season. With the regular season picking up, we are going to have this channel doing podcasts Mondays. So the day after game. So Mondays, if the game is on Thursday night, this podcast will be out on Fridays. If it's Monday night, it will be out on Tuesday for this channel. So that's what's going to happen. So we're going to shift from Saturday to the immediate day after game day before. So I'll say it again when the actual podcast comes out this week. 3 times this week, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there to you guys. So let's see. Oh, a couple of you guys are fighting each other. Oh, that's fun. I think that's it. So anyway, thanks again for you guys for joining in. There's a lot of concerns to take away from this game. The defense, like I said, the secondary was really trash tonight outside of Harrison Smith. The offensive line, I thought for the most part, they did a pretty good job. Again, we got to temper our expectations. Sometimes the offensive line and pass protection, sometimes run protection will break down. So it's okay. You're not going to block these dudes 100% of the time. I thought they looked really well. A lot of usage of the play action. Gary Kubiak in that offensive scheme is doing really good stuff. Kevin Stefanski calling really good plays, being aggressive with the deep passing routes. And yeah, the special teams, the gunners, and the coverage, it's just not looking good out there. So that's a really good concern. And the kicking game. I'm really concerned about that. And if it falls apart, if we lose games because of that, if nothing else, Rick Spielman will be fired for that, especially if it costs us a playoff spot. So this was fun. Hope to see you guys soon. Have a good night and have a good work week.